The Wager Talk college basketball tip-off show anchored by Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels has been a success. Dave and Ralph wanted to personally thank each and every one of you who watched the show by having a blowout college hoops special to end the season. How would you like to get every release for the rest of the regular season, all the conference tournament selections, plus March Madness through the national championship on April 5th, or any other postseason play? Now, how about paying only $2.99? Well, $2.99 each is a very fair price, but they wanted to offer a blowout season special. If you go to Dave or Ralph's Wager Talk homepage, you'll see a $2.99 special for both cappers to get college basketball through the Final Four. Now that is a thank you.
So, James, I'm going to bring myself in now. And welcome in. It is the Friday edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. It is powered by WagerTalk.com, and this is about it. We are getting ready to wrap up the regular season here. Conference tournaments underway. More next week, and then, of course, the dance just around the corner, Selection Sunday, and we've got you covered here. But today, we got a couple of games we're going to talk about today, a couple of games that we're going to talk about tomorrow, and those games will include we are going to talk Nevada, Colorado State here tonight, as well as Buffalo taking on Kent State, and then a couple of big matchups tomorrow to end the regular season, Illinois against Ohio State, as well as UCLA taking on USC. And we'll break these games down with three of the absolute best. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody better, including Drew Martin from sportsmemo.com in the house with us here on the Friday edition. Also, of course, Dave Koken remaining red hot. More on that. And the man below already got a win under his belt here today, Ralph Michaels in the house. And don't forget, guys, you've got Ralph and Dave Koken, the ability to grab every one of their college basketball all-access plays. That's right. Every play from now through the national championship, $2.99. That's not $2.99 each. That's both for $2.99. It's a hell of a deal. Just their way of saying thanks so much for supporting the show here and hanging with us over these last couple of months. And we still got some time to go, and it's going to be one hell of a profitable tournament. And Drew, speaking of profitable, my friend, you continue to dominate in college hoops, my man. What's been going on with you, and what do you got going on at sportsmemo.com tonight?
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that, man. And yes, seeing it well on the hardwood. In terms of, at Sports Memo, we got a lot of totals coverage, betting the college basketball totals, something that I kind of specialized in here for the last 5 years or so, and winning at a profitable rate. So it's been fun to be seeing it well this time of year in terms of being a sports bettor. I think of the whole calendar year is the best time. And it's not something I say, year round, anything like that, just was so much for the odds makers to do. So, that's where we're really trying to take advantage. And, Sports Memo got great free content and discounts. So definitely check out the site, guys. Mondays, $9 Monday, Tuesdays, $2 Tuesday, 2 good days to check it out. But really every day, discounted packages there. And Joe, also before we get off to the start, just wanted to point out, the UNC Florida State game was last Friday. We broke it down on the show. And shout out to Dave Koken. We were on opposite sides, but he called the Tar Heels, and he was right that second half. So I want to tip my cap to Dave. We were on opposite sides, and he definitely had the right side.
It's the beauty of this show. You get a whole lot of opinions there and can take that knowledge and make the best decision for yourself. 11-2 run right now is Drew Martin, as well as, guys, 57% over the last 400 or more college basketball plays. So the man knows what he's talking about, as does Dave Koken, who continues to dominate not only in college hoops, but also on the ice. Dave, continuing a hell of a run, my friend. What do you got going on today at WagerTalk.com?
Well, I want to respectfully disagree with Drew on something. Where he said the odds makers have a lot to do. No, they don't. The odds maker's job is as easy as it gets. Just take the power rating and put up the line, adjust for any injuries, and that's it. We've got way more to do on our end because we have to dissect all these games and try and find advantages. So I think it's a lot easier job for the odds makers in college basketball at this time of year. Outside of that, 22-6 on the last 28 basketball and hockey plays. Best bet winner last night. I've got 3 college basketball plays today, including a best bet and a free play, which I one last night with Oklahoma State. Those have been really good lately. And that free play will be the best bet that I have here on the show.
All right, good stuff. And Ralph, off to a nice start here already. A couple of games in the books already tipped off here. What do you got for the rest of the day?
I have 3 more plays. One, I have a best bet up for this evening. It's a game that was 5% worthy, but I didn't make it a 5 because it was a first half play, and I know there are still some people that can't play first halves. But if you can play first halves, don't miss it. And I had a 4% best bet, a game that went final already. And, something Dave and I talked about, finding value in conference play. Well, the Missouri Valley Conference does it the right way. If you're the number 1 seed in the Missouri Valley Conference, you play Friday morning at noon all the time. Guess what? The opponents that are playing you are the late game Thursday night. So they have an absolute 11-hour turnaround when you are preparing the entire time. That's one of the advantages Dave and I talked about. That's why there's more value in the conference tournaments than in March Madness. And we'll be finding those kind of spots for the next week.
Absolutely, we will. And a couple of games today that we are going to break down for you, a couple tomorrow. I want to start by showing you guys really quick the Twitter handles of these gentlemen. Certainly something that you guys are going to want to take a look at Drew Martin Bets, at Dave Koken, at Cal Sports LV. Always good information, entertaining stuff. Make sure you guys are following them on Twitter. We're going to talk about Colorado State and Nevada in just a minute, but of course we do want to take a look quickly at those games 24 hours ago, some of those top performances that of note, and you had a few of them, including Scottie Pippen Jr. of Vanderbilt taking care of business against Cincinnati, West Virginia doing their thing against TCU, Wendell Green, Eastern Kentucky taking down Austin Peay late night last night. Ralph, 3 very solid performances from these 3 players.
Yeah, Vanderbilt really has been shooting up my power ratings. They have a nice finish to the season, so we'll see how that progresses into next year. But, I hate to see bottom feeders be bottom feeders every year. So I'm very happy to see the Commodores not only competitive, but winning some games.
Yep, and some of those covers from yesterday, too, guys, as we take a look at those, you'll notice, of course, that Vanderbilt team there in Cincinnati with a 20.5-point cover. You also had Iowa taking care of business rather easily last night against Nebraska. FAU, the Owls, taking down Middle Tennessee State. And then Stetson Bellarmine there, a little bit of an upset coming down as Stetson gets ready to play Liberty today. We'll see how that goes. And, of course, some of the totals from last night of note there. And I don't know, Santa Clara, Portland. Not sure anybody saw that one over by 36.5 points there, Ralph. That was the one that stuck out to me.
Yeah, jumping back to where you mentioned Stetson, the A-Sun is one of those conferences that reseeds. So you do your job, you knock off the number 2 Bellarmine, then what do? You get reseeded, and the next day you got to play number 1 Liberty. So, it's a spot I almost played on Liberty that in, but again, those are the unique situations we find.
Yep, I believe that's getting ready to tip off here, 2 p.m. Eastern time there, guys. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's dive in with tonight's matchup, in fact. Colorado State taking on Nevada. Now, this is bounced back and forth. A pick'em, Colorado State won. Now I'm seeing Nevada 1.5. The total also hanging strong right around that 145 mark. Now, this is a game that is a makeup from February 20th, and it's a tale of really, as of late, Colorado State, 5 straight wins. And I guess when you look at Nevada, they've had, 5 of their last 7 games have been canceled here, Drew. So it is home for Nevada. How do you approach this ultimately a pick'em game here tonight?
Yeah, sure, Joe. I handicapped it as a pick'em game. And, Nevada, they're kind of a tricky handicap just in themselves, like in a bubble, just breaking down the Nevada basketball squad here. Plus the fact, Joe, they already locked up the 5th seed in the Mountain West Conference. So they're plus on top of that, they're not a bubble team to make the dance. They're going to have to win the tournament and get the automatic bid here. So in terms of motivation for this game, something that I don't like to handicap just by itself, but still, I do bring it into effect here, especially because Colorado State, is on the bubble. They're a team that has a lot to play for. They're really sleeper. The Rams 17-4 this year. They've split with teams like San Diego State and Boise State, two really good teams in the Mountain West. Conference road record 6-2, 5-3 against the spread. So they've played well on the road. This being the last game of the season and more to play for Colorado State, it would be the Rams or pass for me, Joe.
Yeah, it's Colorado certainly got something to play for here tonight in this one. Dave, do they get the job done on the road?
Well, everything Drew said made sense. And here's the one problem, though. At Boise State in an even easier situation on Tuesday, and they lost at home in a makeup game to Fresno. What a disaster for Boise. That really hurt them. And it's kind of a similar situation here. This is a makeup game. Mountain West didn't do Colorado State any favors. They didn't do the conference any favors. They're trying to get an extra at-large bid because this is a tough game. You have to go on the road to Reno for a game that they just basically stuck on the schedule to get an extra game and I guess more money, fulfill a TV contract. Look, I mean, I got in a little discussion with somebody on Twitter over the Boise State game. And I said, look, it's still Boise State. They didn't take care of business. Try winning the game against Fresno and then they don't have a problem. I mean, if you look at this situation, it means way more to Colorado State. As Drew mentioned, Reno's already locked into their spot. They don't move regardless. It's Colorado State, much better position to get it at large if they win this rather than lose this. Nevada's got a guy missing. One of their bigs inside isn't playing. I mean, everything points to Colorado State. And yet the line, and by the way, it power rate's about even. So why isn't Colorado State the favorite here? Now, this is one of those games where I'm just looking at the line and go, this doesn't make sense for Colorado State to be the underdog in this game. They just should not be the underdog in this game, and they are. I don't like games like that. The line, this is where 50 years of doing this stuff has taught me some things. I mean, I learned this long ago, but it still gets reinforced. When it looks too good to be true, stay as far away as you possibly can. And that's where I put this game. I think this looks like a Colorado State spot. Not a chance in the world I'm going to bet it.
Ralph, when we look at Nevada, they've had 2 games since February 7th, both against Utah State that they've lost. That's it. So how do you approach this game in Reno tonight?
Well, yeah, I could tell you one reason people are afraid to back Colorado State. Since January 21st, so we have 45 days, they've played 2 road games and they were against Wyoming. So they've proved nothing on the road. Every other game was at home. So you have a team that, the Wyoming games, they won by 2 and they won by 9. They didn't even impress in those 2 games. I will say this. I'm going to give an opinion on the over. And this is coming straight from coach's quotes. Alford says, I will definitely have more pace and I will press urgency. We don't have our legs under us. And this is the first time I've ever had a full scrimmage in February or March since I've been coaching. He had these kids running up and down, working against each other. He's going to have them running. Colorado State is a fast-paced team. I'm not going to worry about what side's favored. I am going to believe Alford's going to press that pace and go over the total.
All right, like in over in this one. And we're
going to go back on something on this game. Before we get to the next game, I want to mention something on this game. And this applies to a great feature that we've got at WagerTalk, which is the Don Best screen. You get updated odds, and included in that is if you go to the live odds, one of the features is tickets. Very first column, you got the matchup, the score if the game's in progress. Tickets is the first count, and if you look at the Colorado State Nevada column, 78% of the tickets on Colorado State. Lines going the other way.
Yep. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
And that's a free feature, guys. So when you go to WagerTalk.com, that should be something you have on your screen all day long. Just go to live odds, punch it up, and then leave that on there all day long because you're going to get odds updates and all that great information. It doesn't cost a thing, and it's really valuable.
Good stuff.
It's not much of a shortcut, but wt.buzz/odds is the shortcut to get there.
Thank you. Because I don't know that stuff. I mean, I barely know my own homepage. So
well, let's take a look at what those ticket count is for the next game, which we're going to head to the MAC, and that is going to be Buffalo taking on Kent State here. Buffalo opens up as a 5-point favorite, opens up as a 152.5 total. I'm seeing 54% of those tickets, 82% of the money is on Buffalo, and it's holding strong at 5.5, as is the total now, creeped up a little bit to 154.5. So, Dave, coming back to you, we watched this back in January. Kent State 84-81 back on January 19th. In fact, they won. Both of these teams, they need a win here. Buffalo coming in hot, winners of 5 straight here. How do you think this turns out?
Oh, I'm not going to bullshit it. Yeah, I never looked at the game. Most of these regular season wind-up games, I just scratch them off. To me, they're impossible to handicap, and we've seen a lot of strange results this week. So I have nothing on this game.
All right. Well, how about it, Ralph? 4 straight, by the way, for Buffalo, looking to make it 5 here. How do you have these two teams lined up tonight?
Well, Kent State is playing for the number 2 seed. Buffalo could move into the number 2 seed as well. So, they are playing for some seedings. I don't know how much you put into that if you're a coach. But, it's late in the year. Buffalo's one of the fastest teams. It's, Nate Oates, who went to Buffalo, they were number 2 in tempo. Whitesell took over. He's kept that same type of tempo. When you're at home, they've been in the 80 pluses. They haven't been under 80 points in a win since Ball State back on February 2nd. So you have a Kent State team that also pushes the pace, not quite as much, but when you have the two teams that run like that, I think Buffalo's going to try to run them out in this final game at home, and I like the over in this one as well.
Over, yeah. It is certainly market shows that that total has crept up a couple of points here, Drew. How are you going to approach this game?
Yeah, Joe, I don't disagree here with Ralph in terms of a totals perspective. Also, hats off to Ralph on that quote from the Nevada head coach in terms of speeding it up in the last game we talked about. That's some real positive EV, quote findings in terms of CBB totals betting. But in this game, in terms of a side perspective, Joe, Buffalo up-tempo team, really good defense. But the thing that in this matchup, and I think that it actually helped Kent State last time, I think it will help them this time, is Kent State has a really deep bench. They actually outscored Buffalo. Bench points 23-5 in that first matchup. So teams that go up-tempo, up and down the court, sometimes they run out of the gym their opponent. I don't think they're going to be able to do that matchup-wise against Kent State. So I think it helps Kent State as well. And the fact Kent State, shoots near 80% from the free throw line. They had plus 11 points in terms of that many more free throws than Buffalo in the last game. And on top of all of that, Buffalo, if they do struggle anywhere, it's from the free throw line, only 66% on the year in a foul fest kind of zone here. -5, -5.5 is the favorite. I don't like betting on teams near 65% from the free throw line, especially when they're going up against teams near 80% from the free throw line, because if it does become a foul fest down the stretch, those aren't really good odds I like laying.
Well, amen to that. All right, guys, 2 games here today. Of course, 2 tomorrow that we're going to take a look at, including a big one here in the Big Ten, especially for the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are looking to reverse course here, losers of 3 straight. And they're going to be taking on the red-hot Fighting Illinois here. It opened up Ohio State laying 1.5, 151.5 as a total. Ralph, Ohio State could use a win here, could they not?
Oh, yeah, they know they need a win. They've fallen back to 5th place in the Big Ten. And they do have their pieces parts back. So, Young missed the Michigan State game. Dave talked about it, I think, yesterday. He was actually on Michigan State because of that size. And, you need some bigs to cover Cockburn. So, the issue is this, though. Young come back, and they didn't want to put him at center because they thought he was too physical. So they moved him to power forward, and they moved Liddell out to center. Well, Liddell's 6'7", and he's your number 1 scorer. So if he's trying to play defense against Cockburn, that's definitely going to affect his scoring. It looks like DeSumo's not going to play. They talked about concussion protocol. They talked about, does this one game mean enough, or should we just wait until the tournament? So I don't expect DeSumo to play. I think Ohio State's got to play the intensity on defense that they're accustomed to. I think Liddell's scoring is going to get hurt having to help on Cockburn. DeSumo not in there. For the third time, I'm going to like a total here, and I like the under.
No, DeSumo means Trent Frazier going to have to step it up once again. Did a pretty good job there, Drew, against Michigan. How are you going to approach this game tomorrow, from a side or from the total?
Well, I broke it down mostly from the side perspective here, Joe. And I mean, Illinois, 10-1, their last 11, hot team, top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. But the thing is, I think Ohio State overall, their guard play might have a little bit of an advantage, even though they lost 3 in a row. A better free throw shooting team as well. They won 87-81 in that game on January 16th, but they did shoot 52% from the 3-point line. So might see a little bit of mean regression there. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things in sports betting, Joe, the trend is your friend and the trend's on Illinois. I don't know if I have it to step in front of Ohio State, especially because the 3 losses in a row against such good quality competition here, probably the most difficult schedule in terms of the last 3 games in the whole country. So that's what's keeping me off of this. It's a pass for me.
Dave, do you lean Ohio State simply because they're home in a must-win situation?
Well, I wouldn't call it must-win, but because, they're in the NCAA tournament. But, and it is revenge for Illinois. From a rare home loss, they lost 2 home games back-to-back to Maryland and Ohio State. And since then, they've been dynamite. But, I mean, this is a situational dream spot. You got Illinois coming off this monster win against Michigan, and also a very important win against Wisconsin, both on the road. They're still on the road here for a 3rd straight game. And Ohio State off 3 losses. I mean, this is an Ohio State situational spot all the way. Forget everything else. The analysis beyond that means nothing. This is a pure situational spot. You play Ohio State here.
4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, guys. ESPN, that'll be the featured game there. Check that out. Ohio State taking on Illinois. And that leaves us with a Pac-12 matchup here tomorrow as well. That being UCLA taking on USC, opening up USC, 1.5, total 130, 4.5 as USC goes for the season sweep over the Bruins here. And Drew, I'm going to come to you, my man. Do they get it at this point?
I don't know if I can say with 100% confidence they do. I mean, USC losing 2 of 3 of their last 5. They are a top 30 team in both offensive and defensive efficiency, Joe. But going up against UCLA, UCLA, an interesting stat here, is 11-0 when they hold their opponent to 62 points or less, and USC 0-5 when they score 62 points or less. So that's 62 points. Can USC score it? I think they do. And the fact that, UCLA has also lost 2 straight here against Colorado and Oregon, decent competition, but still I lean with the Trojans, but another one I likely don't invest in, Joe.
February 6th, Dave, we saw it, and USC just flat out outshot UCLA. They hit better from 3. They hit better from 2. They just flat out beat them by 18 points here. What do you think we see tomorrow?
It's not as strong a situation, but this is what it comes down to. In the final week of the regular season, it's all about motivation. It is. You find the more motivated team, and you're probably going to get the win. And I think that's the situation with Ohio State and Illinois, where I think the motivational edge is clearly on the Ohio State side. And I think it's on the UCLA side here. They've got the revenge. They're off 2 losses. They're not locked into the tournament yet. USC is. They already beat them once. They beat the crap out of them in that game. The motivational edge here is absolutely with UCLA. So that's the only side I'd consider.
Now, Ralph, I'm looking here. It looks like UCLA has won its last 11 home games as well. So maybe a little home cooking, exactly what they need here.
Yeah, well, you're playing when you have a good home team and the game's around pick'em and a solid defensive presence. It's always a good idea. I'm going to jump back and just point out to people that, even though we handicap full time, there's probably one of the best situational spots that I missed in the entire season of college football and college basketball. USC played Saturday against Arizona at home. They lose. Then they play Monday against Oregon, a brutal, a very physical game that was a must win. They play Thursday at Colorado, and then they play their fourth game in 7 days, at Colorado with altitude, at Utah with altitude. And Enfield just said, listen, there's nothing I could say about our guys in that 10-point loss. We were running at 50%, and his quote was, we were completely exhausted against Utah. Now, they bounced back against Stanford, but did they really bounce back? Because De Silva was out for Stanford. So, yeah, that 79-42 win looks good. But, I have trouble with coaches who say this. This was Enfield yesterday in the LA Times. He's pissed that they gave away they led the Pac-12. They could have cashed the Big 12. They lost 3 out of 4. And his response to the writer was, well, Oregon played 2 less games than us, and Oregon didn't have to play in Pauley Pavilion like we do tomorrow. I mean, that's just not the right attitude for a coach to have. Like Dave said, when players hear coaches making excuses for motivation and why you lose, I just have real trouble backing that kind of team. I agree with Dave. I mean, I'm not positive USC is back because of that Stanford win. I back the Bruins and the better defensive. USC's playing quality defense as well, but I do back UCLA at home.
All right.
I want the perfect example of how motivation. We saw it last night in an absolutely meaningless game for Kansas and what amounted to a Super Bowl for UTEP. And UTEP almost beat them outright as huge underdogs. I'm telling you, your normal handicapping, if you're looking at the regular board this weekend, your normal handicapping should go on like page 19 and just look for the team that has the motivational edge. You're probably going to win most of those games.
Good point. That's it. Tomorrow is promise to nobody. Got to take care of business here this weekend with these teams. And stay there, guys. Don't go nowhere. We just got blitzed here. Hold on one second. Technology is wonderful when it works. Yeah, we got a little bit of a power surge here. Hold on. James, you
Oh, it wasn't me? Okay, I thought I froze.
No, you're good to go. Hey, guys, welcome back in. So sorry about that. You know, technology is wonderful when it works and doesn't always work, but we got to get to the best bets here without any further ado. So I am going to take a look at our gold sheet play of the day and see exactly which team they look at. And they're looking at the Charlotte Marshall game, it looks like here, Ralph. They're looking from a total perspective. They're going to go under in this matchup here with the Herd taking on the 49ers.
You know, you don't have a bigger dichotomy really in college basketball. Marshall number 19 in tempo, Charlotte number 354. So one of the fastest against one of the slowest. They do play both today and tomorrow. So the gold sheet thinks Marshall won't press the pace playing both days. Perhaps slow it down today. They like the under as the gold sheet play of the day in this Charlotte-Marshall matchup.
All right, and Drew, let's come to you for best bet here of the show. Again, 11-2 run right now, guys. Drew is on fire. Catch him at sportsmemo.com. Time to make it a profitable weekend. So, Drew, which game did you circle for us?
Joe, in your honor, I'm going back to Dixie State, buddy. And yes. I know I lost last week with them, but I'm feeling it tonight. And we got New Mexico State at Dixie State, 9 p.m. Eastern. So a later start, not necessarily degenerate special, but 6 p.m. Pacific. New Mexico State minus 12-point road favorites, 139.5 being the total. St. George, Utah is the place where this game's going, not far from Las Vegas. And I'm going after it from a totals perspective here, Joe, under 139.5. Reason being, Dixie State, yes, they like to go up tempo, but really one of the worst offensive efficiency teams. And the fact that they like to go up tempo going up against New Mexico State, which likes to go really slow tempo, one of the slowest tempos in the country. Now, you can make an argument who's the better team because New Mexico State isn't as good as they used to be in years past, but I don't think you can make the argument who's the more talented team in terms of player talent on the court. And I think that that's going to dominate who controls the pace here. So I think we see a slower tempo game, plus the fact these two teams combining for 8 straight unders. New Mexico State under trending right now, so under 139.5 in the New Mexico State-Dixie State game, Joe.
Love it. All right, make sure you guys check it out. Drew, sportsmemo.com. That 11-2 run, man. Hop on it now while you guys can with them. All right, Dave, are we heading to the Sun Belt for your game, I believe?
Yeah, the third game on the schedule. They're playing the first round today, and no, it's actually the second game. UL Monroe and South Alabama.
Yep.
South Alabama -5. I made the number higher than this. I think it's a favorable matchup for the Jaguars because their weaknesses on defense won't be exploited by a bad UL Monroe offense. And I also like the fact that South Alabama, after winning 8 straight, dumped 2 last weekend. Now, that might look like, well, their momentum got stopped. I think it gets them focused here against the team they're supposed to handle. They won't be overconfident going in. So I laid the 5 with South Alabama. That's the free play I used today, and I'll make it the best bet here on the show. There is a best bet in college basketball that's available right now on my homepage. Also played another college basketball game. So if you're an All Access participant, or if you've got the package with Ralph and myself, you'll get that game as well. WT.buzz/DC is the page.
Yep. Take advantage, guys. $2.99, both Ralph and Dave now. All access college hoops. Every selection from now through the national championship. Just head over to WagerTalk.com and their pages. And Ralph, you're not going to let Drew drop Dixie State here, are you? And you not come over the top with something. Like, where are you going here, Ralph? What do you got tonight?
Well, Dave must have not gotten the message that it's whack night. But, you know, Dave brought up one important point that I want to bring up again. He talked about one of his games not being in a package. He has a best bet for sale, but unless you're an all-access customer, you're not getting all of his plays. I have 4 plays today. Only 2 are for sale. Unless you're an all-access customer, you'd be missing 3 of our plays together. That's why you want to take advantage of that $2.99 special. So when we're talking about these runs, you potentially can't even buy all those plays unless you're an all-access customer, which in that point, you are getting them all. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, if he's going Dixie State, I'm going to go Tarleton State. Oh. So if you guys don't know, the Texans moved up first year. They're now in the WAC. And really, I'm playing against Texas Rio Grande Valley. Their coach passed away February the 7th. He was a 5-year head coach, and he passed away, Lou Hill. God bless him. So now you have an interim. So what happens after that? They play Utah Valley State, lose New Mexico State, and their best player leaves. Ray, he's their leading scorer. He's their number 2 rebounder. In Tarleton State, you have a first-year team moving up to Division I. Who's their head coach? Billy Gillespie, who was at Texas Tech, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. They're coming on playing freshmen. Tarleton State is the number 1 team in the country in terms of steals. They're the number 1 team in terms of turnover margin. Those are the type of teams you want as a dog. I'm getting 4.5 points with the team in much better fashion. Game 847, Tarleton State, the Texans plus the points.
I knew you'd come over the top, Ralph. Way to go there, guys. I'm going to throw out there Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, 8.5 points. Wake Forest has lost 6 in a row, the last 5 by an average of 23 points. So I like laying the 8.5. Georgia Tech looking to finish strong here, take care of business on the road against Wake Forest, 8 p.m. tip-off tonight. Once again, guys, a quick recap of those best bets, and we do, of course, want to apologize for the technical glitch there. You got us in 2 parts here today, but the explanations are on the video just before this. You guys can hop over there and hear them. But Ralph Michaels, Tarleton State, plus 4.5. Dave going South Alabama, laying the 5. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the tip-off there. Drew Martin, New Mexico State, Dixie State, under that total of 139.5. I'll lay the 8.5 with Georgia Tech, taking down Wake Forest and our friends at the Gold Sheet. Charlotte, Marshall, under 138.5. And again, guys, make sure you head over to sportsmemo.com. Hop on with Drew this weekend. Let's make it a profitable weekend in college hoops and actually all sports for that matter. And, of course, Dave and Ralph, WagerTalk.com. Take advantage of that $2.99 deal. Get them both now. All access, every college basketball selection from now through the national championship. Yours for $2.99. It is less than 2 for 1 with Dave and Ralph. Just $2.99. Head over to WagerTalk.com. On behalf of Drew Martin, Dave Kogan, Ralph Michaels, guys, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Subscribe to the page. And come back and join us on Mondays. We get ready for tournaments. More tournaments leading into Selection Sunday. So best of luck with your plays, guys. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Good luck.
The Wager Talk College Basketball Tip-Off Show, anchored by Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels, has been a success. Dave and Ralph wanted to personally thank each and every one of you who watched the show by having a blowout college hoop special to end the season. How would you like to get every release for the rest of the regular season, all the conference tournament selections, plus March Madness through the National Championship on April 5th, or any other postseason play? Now, how about paying only $2.99? Well, $2.99 each is a very fair price, but they wanted to offer a blowout season special. If you go to Dave or Ralph's Wager Talk homepage, you'll see a $2.99 special for both cappers to get college basketball through the Final Four. Now that is a thank you.